In the frozen wilderness of the Bering Sea, where waves rise like walls of steel and winds cut through even the thickest gear, survival and fortune collide in one of the most dangerous fisheries on Earth. Here, 7 relentless days can mean the difference between striking it rich or returning home empty-handed. It's not oil rigs or rescue missions that bring men into these icy waters, but something far more delicate and prized: Alaska's legendary red king crab. To most people, it's a holiday luxury on the dinner table. To these fishermen, it's a million-dollar gamble played out against nature itself. Imagine hauling in a single week's catch worth more than $200,000, knowing that one mistake on a freezing deck, one rogue wave, or one misjudged storm could wipe it all away. This is more than fishing. It's a high-stakes dance with danger, where every steel pot is a wager, every buoy a lifeline, and every crab a prize dragged up from the edge of the world. The king crab wasn't always considered a luxury. After World War II, American fishermen, armed with surplus Navy vessels, heavy steel gear, and new radar technology, ventured into Alaska's hostile waters with determination. The boom years hit hard and fast. By the 1960s, king crab harvests soared, reaching an astonishing 159 million pounds annually, with Kodiak alone producing nearly 94 million pounds. An obscure crustacean suddenly became a global delicacy, showing up in restaurants from Tokyo to New York. But greed and mismanagement came at a cost. Overfishing, coupled with shifting ocean temperatures, led to a catastrophic population collapse in the early 1980s. Government regulators stepped in, slashing quotas and shrinking fishing seasons to just a few days a year. Today, harvest levels are only a fraction of what they once were, yet demand remains sky-high, driving prices into luxury territory. A single leg can retail for dozens of dollars, and live shipments are treated like cargo more precious than gold. The allure is irresistible, but the risk is ever-present. For every boat that ventures out, survival, science, and strategy must merge to bring even a single haul home. Before a single crab pot can hit the water, the crew must prepare with military precision. On deck, 800 pieces of equipment are checked and double-checked: hydraulic cranes, steel winches, bait chutes, and the enormous crab pots themselves. Each pot weighs up to 800 pounds empty and nearly 1,200 pounds once filled with bait and frozen seawater. A typical vessel carries 150 to 300 of these cage-like traps stacked high across the stern like a fortress of iron. Thick rope is coiled with care, attached to buoys painted bright orange with the ship's ID. Below deck, bait is prepared with surgical repetition. The crew chops herring and cod into pieces, sometimes mixing in squid slurry or sardine oil to create a scent trail strong enough to lure crabs from the seafloor. There's no time to waste once they set out. Seasons are often restricted to 96 to 120 hours. That means 4 to 5 days to catch their quota, no matter the weather, no matter the fatigue. Ice begins to build on the deck within hours, forcing men to hammer it off railings and pot frames in the middle of the night just to keep equipment working. In this frozen world, even steel burns bare skin. The only way out is to fish fast, fish hard, and fish until the tanks are full. Launching the pots is both mechanical and ritualistic. One by one, massive steel traps are pushed toward the rail by hydraulic arms, locked into cradles, and released into the sea with a deep thud. GPS and sonar guide the captain's grid, but instinct built over decades is just as important. The pots sink 400 feet or more, vanishing into black water, tethered only by a rope and a buoy bobbing in the swell. The crew repeats this process hundreds of times, laying a vast trapline across the ocean floor. The work is relentless. The faster the pots are deployed, the sooner the waiting game begins. Hours later, sometimes a full day, the crew circles back. Buoys are snagged with poles and fed into winches. Rope soaks the deck as the first pot rises, creaking and dripping from the deep. The crew leans forward, eyes locked. No one knows what waits inside until the steel lid slams open. Some pots come up empty, maybe a handful of undersized crabs crawling sluggishly inside. Others spill out with a clattering avalanche of massive red king crab, their claws snapping against each other, legs tangling in a living heap. Every pot is a gamble, and the only way forward is to keep pulling. When the crabs hit the sorting table, chaos becomes choreography. Dozens tumble across the steel, claws flailing, legs scraping, some still clutching bait bags with stubborn strength. The deckhands work like machines, each trained to measure, sort, and toss in seconds. By law, only male red king crabs with a minimum carapace width of 6.5 inches can be kept. The rest, females and undersized males, are swiftly tossed back overboard. There's no time for hesitation. Gloves, eyes, and muscle memory dictate every move. The stakes couldn't be higher. A boat must collect 20,000 to 30,000 legal crabs to hit its quota, each one weighing between 6 and 10 pounds. A full live tank means profit. A half-full tank could spell financial disaster. Sorting continues in freezing spray, while waves slam across the rail and the wind howls through layered gear. Accuracy is as important as speed. A single mistake, a mismeasured crab, a discarded legal one, or a kept illegal one, could mean hefty fines or failed inspections. In this game, every toss matters. Not every crab is destined for the live tanks. Injured, weak, or stressed specimens are pulled aside for immediate processing. These are rinsed clean, then dropped into massive onboard boilers filled with seawater heated to a precise 96 degrees Celsius. Timing is critical, 12 to 14 minutes of cooking depending on size. Too short and the meat fails inspection. Too long and the delicate texture is ruined. Once boiled, the crabs are plunged into icy brine to halt cooking instantly, locking in sweetness and firmness. Legs are separated with curved knives and rubber hammers, meat handled carefully to avoid damage, and everything is flash frozen at minus 35 degrees Celsius in IQF systems. Meanwhile, the live tanks are monitored like hospital wards. Oxygen levels, pH balance, and temperature are checked constantly, with chilled seawater kept just above freezing to preserve the catch. These crabs will journey thousands of miles alive, destined for restaurants in Tokyo, Seoul, and New York, where a single platter can fetch hundreds of dollars. The moment the quota is reached, the mission shifts from fishing to logistics. Live crabs are transferred into insulated crates lined with cooling gel packs to maintain perfect conditions. Processed clusters are vacuum sealed, boxed, and prepared for global shipping. Even broken shells aren't wasted, ground into chitin for fertilizers, cosmetics, and even medical uses. Every step is documented, barcoded, and tracked. At checkpoints from the dock to the airport, inspectors verify temperatures and product integrity. The crab that finally reaches your holiday dinner table or the buffet line in Las Vegas has already survived storms, freezing decks, and thousands of miles of cold chain engineering. By the time you crack open a leg, savor the sweet, rich meat, and dip it in butter, you're tasting the end of a journey that demanded skill, sacrifice, and luck from men who risked it all on the edge of the Bering Sea. But the story of extreme fishing doesn't end there. As one crew battles storms in Alaska, another fleet on the other side of the world is preparing for a hunt of a different kind. Off the coast of Peru, under a moonless sky, fishermen chase giant Humboldt squid in an operation that lasts just a single night but can earn close to $1 million before sunrise. Instead of cold winds and steel pots, this hunt depends on light, artificial moons created by towering rigs of LED lamps that pulse across the waves, tricking squid into rising from the deep. The ocean transforms into a floating stadium, reels spin and jigs dance in the glow. Within minutes, tentacle giants weighing up to 100 pounds are hauled aboard, spraying ink and thrashing wildly. The crew moves with urgency, knowing each squid must be processed or frozen within 30 minutes to hold its value. By dawn, over 12 tons of squid may be harvested, flash frozen, and prepared for markets around the globe. It's another dangerous ballet between man, machine, and the ocean's raw power. From the icy crab grounds of Alaska to the glowing squid fisheries of Peru, these stories show the lengths humanity goes to bring seafood to our tables. Behind every platter of king crab legs or plate of calamari is a tale of risk, resilience, and relentless pursuit of one more haul. For the fisherman, it's not just a paycheck. It's a way of life, a test of endurance, and a gamble against forces bigger than themselves. For us, it's a reminder that the delicacies we enjoy come from the most unforgiving corners of the earth, dragged from darkness, fought from storms, and delivered with a cost few ever see. The ocean doesn't wait. It doesn't pause, it doesn't warn, it simply moves. One moment it's calm and endless, the next it's crashing down in waves that test every ship, every net, and every crew. Out there, survival is measured in seconds and success is measured in tons. That's why no one looks up and no one counts, there's no time. In the seafood business, the clock starts ticking the second a creature is pulled from the water, and from that moment forward it's a race against time, temperature, and decay. Tonight, that race begins with squid, the unassuming but globally beloved seafood that fuels markets from Tokyo sushi bars to fried calamari platters in Ohio diners. What seems like a simple appetizer is actually the result of a breathtakingly fast, high-stakes process that spans oceans, continents, and cultures. When a squid is caught, it's already changing. Enzymes inside its body immediately start to soften the flesh, breaking down what makes it fresh and edible. Every minute it spends in the open air is a minute closer to loss. That's why preservation doesn't wait until the ship gets back to port. It starts right there on the deck, sometimes just a few feet from the moment it's pulled from the sea. Freezing begins immediately, and by sunrise, most of the 12 tons hauled in a single night are solid blocks of ice, stacked in containers, inspected and ready to move. A night's labor is boxed up, but the battle doesn't end there. As the ship docks with the first light of morning, forklifts spring into action, transferring pallets directly into storage facilities where temperatures stay just below -18 degrees Celsius. There's no pause in this chain, no opportunity for mishandling. The so-called cold chain is one of the most vital aspects of global seafood, a seamless handoff from ship to truck to plant. Every slip could cost millions. Within hours, some of these frozen squid will arrive at processing facilities on land. Here the process becomes even more exacting. Technicians unload trays of squid and begin the secondary cleaning. High-pressure water jets strip away any remaining residue. Digital calipers measure length, weight and fin structure with scientific precision. Commercial-grade squid heads one way, premium specimens another. In the seafood world, uniformity is king. The largest, most intact squid command higher prices and are destined for high-end markets across Asia, Europe and North America. Robotic arms trim, gut and segment them. Each piece is individually scanned before being blast frozen again using a two-stage IQF, or individual quick freezing system, ensuring maximum stability and shelf life. Every box is labeled with its catch zone, vessel ID, harvest date, and microbiological clearance. The rest is portioned for mainstream consumption, sliced into rings for your local frozen seafood aisle, or kept whole for wholesale export. Every single box is logged, barcode tracked, and entered into customs records. By the time the product leaves port, it's already worth over $900,000, scattered into global shipping containers stamped with codes that trace back to a single night's work at sea. And yet, before it ever reaches your plate, whether fried in an American sports bar or delicately plated in a Michelin-starred Tokyo restaurant, each squid has undergone a race against darkness, time, and spoilage. It is seafood survival engineered. But squid is just one part of this high-pressure food chain. If squid fishing is a race against the dark, then tuna fishing is a battle against pure power. Unlike squid, tuna doesn't hide. It fights. A single bluefin tuna can weigh over 500 pounds and stretch nearly 7 feet long. They're predators built for speed, capable of slicing through water at 40 miles per hour. A whip of the tail can snap a steel cable in half. Bringing one aboard is not simply fishing, it's warfare with nature, and the fight doesn't end once it's on deck. For centuries, tuna remained a mystery to humans, too fast and elusive for traditional fishing. Everything changed in the early 20th century with the invention of purse seine nets and industrial cranes. Suddenly, entire schools could be encircled and harvested in a single sweep. By the 1950s, canned tuna wasn't just a curiosity, it was a staple of American life. School lunches, Navy rations and weeknight family dinners all relied on the convenience of tuna. It was marketed as clean, lean and healthier than red meat. U.S. households adopted it wholeheartedly and demand soared. Today, more than 4 million metric tons of tuna are harvested worldwide every year. Behind that can of tuna salad in your kitchen lies a global market worth over $40 billion. And yet, the process of turning a massive predator into a neat $3 can is one of the most complex transformations in modern food production. It begins with the hunt. Far from shore, sometimes hundreds of miles into open water, massive purse seine nets are deployed. These circular nets can stretch 2 kilometers long and 200 meters deep, forming a floating barrier around entire schools of tuna. Smaller skiff boats help guide the net. Once closed, the bottom is cinched tight with hydraulic winches, trapping the fish in what's called the purse. Beneath the surface, chaos erupts. Hundreds of tuna thrash, dive, and smash against the mesh in a desperate bid to escape. Above, the crew watches every move, knowing the difference between a successful haul and a disastrous loss can come down to seconds. One by one, tuna are hauled aboard using cranes and braille nets. A single scoop can lift over 1,500 pounds of fish. Once on deck, they're stunned and bled immediately. This isn't cruelty, it's science. Flushing warm blood with seawater preserves the meat's deep red color and extends its shelf life. The fish are tagged, weighed, and passed into blast chillers or deep brine tanks, where the goal is to drop their core temperature below -18 degrees Celsius as quickly as possible. Every action, every degree is critical because in this industry tuna isn't just food, it's currency. When the vessel finally docks, the precision only intensifies. Industrial cranes lift the frozen giants off the ship and into insulated containers packed with crushed ice. Forklifts transfer them straight into processing plants. No waiting outdoors, no breaks in the cold chain. Inside, the air is so frigid it feels metallic, sharp, and silent. Workers wear thermal suits, moving methodically through rooms chilled just above freezing. This is where the transformation from predator to pantry begins. The tuna are first defrosted under carefully controlled conditions, sometimes misted with chilled water or left in refrigeration tunnels overnight. Then hydraulic-powered bandsaws slice through heads, tails, and spines in seconds, leaving behind thick muscular bodies ready for processing. Here's a detail that surprises most people. Tuna destined for cans is cooked whole before it's even filleted. Massive steam ovens, reaching 100 to 120 degrees Celsius, cook the fish for up to 90 minutes. This step helps separate bones and excess oils, making the next phase faster and cleaner. Once cooled, skilled cutters step in. With long, razor-sharp knives, they break each tuna into fillets, 2 loins and 2 belly flaps. Every cut is critical. Even a slight slip can downgrade an entire piece from premium grade to lower grade filler. After trimming, the meat heads into the canning line. Workers arrange chunks or flakes into pre-sized cans, calibrated by weight. Some cans are filled with oil, others with brine, depending on brand and market. Sensors check every gram. Overfill wastes product, underfill risks rejection. Next comes sealing. Automated vacuum machines place lids on top, crimping them tight in double-seamed rollers to create an airtight lock. Oxygen is sucked out to prevent spoilage. But sealing alone doesn't make it safe. That's why every can is sterilized in massive retort chambers, essentially industrial pressure cookers, that heat the cans under intense pressure for up to 90 minutes. This kills harmful bacteria like Clostridium botulinum, the same toxin that causes botulism. Only after this step can tuna safely sit on grocery shelves for years without refrigeration. Final inspection is relentless. Quality control teams randomly test cans, checking weight, seal integrity, even smell and texture. Some cans are submerged in water under pressure to detect leaks. Others are sliced open to grade appearance. A single dent or missed seal can cause an entire shipment to be scrapped. Once approved, cans are labeled, boxed, stacked, shrink-wrapped, and sent to markets across the globe. By the time a tuna sandwich lands on your plate, the fish inside may have traveled over 10,000 miles, passed through 5 countries, and been handled by more than 100 people. What arrives in that silver can is more than food. It's a triumph of logistics, chemistry, and engineering. From squid hauled under moonlight to tuna fought out of the deep, these foods represent some of the most complex supply chains on Earth. They are frozen, carved, scanned, sterilized, and tracked with precision, all to ensure that when you pop open a can of tuna or order fried calamari at your favorite bar, the product is safe, fresh, and ready to eat. What seems ordinary on your plate is anything but ordinary behind the scenes. It's a story of danger, endurance, and science in motion. So the next time you sit down to a plate of calamari or unwrap a tuna melt, remember the journey, the freezing decks, the steel cranes, the ice-cold processing rooms, and the relentless clock ticking from the ocean to your table. These aren't just meals, they're feats of human ingenuity, battles against nature, and the result of an unseen race that never stops. And now you've seen it. If you want more of these hidden food stories, the kind that reveal the real process behind the things you thought you already knew, make sure to stick around because there's a lot more to uncover.